Hello, and you're very welcome to another episode of the South Tip Arts Podcast. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast, you'll be familiar with Catherine McVicker, a local playwright, actor and director. And we've spoken previously about her ongoing project, Merry-Go-Round. This is a play that Catherine has written herself, and it's been funded under part of the Rehearsing Change project, which is funded by Creative Ireland. Merry-Go-Round explores a young woman's journey as she tries to deal with the sudden death of her father. Trying to keep everything together on the outside, she begins to feel overwhelmed and struggles to attend her training course. The roof over her head is at risk, and financial disaster exacerbates absolutely everything. What's special about this play is that it is in the form of forum theatre, the style of theatre created by the innovative and influential practitioner Augusta Boal, and it's one of the techniques that fall under the umbrella term of theatre of the oppressed. This relates to the engagement of the spectators, who both influence and engage the performance as spectators and actors, turning them into spect-actors with the power to stop and change the performance. You can listen back to previous episodes of the podcast to hear Catherine speaking more about Augusta Boal and indeed the Theatre of the Oppressed, which she's very interested in. The play will be doing a tour in the coming weeks. Most of these performances will be in the context of educational settings, so performance to students, both secondary and third level students, and also students in adult education. But Merry-Go-Round is going to have one public performance, and that's happening at LIT Campus here in Clonmel on the 14th of November from 2 to 4 p.m. The admission is free, but you can ring South Tip Arts Centre on 052 6127877 to confirm your attendance. I had a chance to speak to Catherine and the cast recently as they look forward to taking Merry-Go-Round on tour. So, Catherine McVicker, you're the director and writer of Merry-Go-Round. We've spoken before about this project and about the Theatre of the Oppressed and Augusta Boal, so we know the kind of background for it. How has it been as a project for you, to develop over the last few months since we last spoke?
I suppose it's been an exciting process. Taking an idea and allowing it to develop and researching, I suppose, all the obstacles the story follows Claire's character and all the people that she meets and the obstacles along the way. So I think I've really enjoyed the kind of research part of it and just talking to people who are, in those situations, and the whole journey with the actors, trying to really understand where she's at, and I suppose looking at the whole risk of homelessness. That's kind of very adult world that she's kind of entering into, and the huge pressures that she encounters along the way.
So we also have here the cast of Merry-Go-Round. Catherine, would you like to introduce me to everybody?
This is Luna Kalo. Luna is the stage manager of the production, and she also plays the role of the lecturer and the doctor.
Luna, you're very welcome to Clonmel, and by your accent you're definitely not from around here.
No, I am originally from Belfast.
So you play the part of the doctor?
Yes.
And the college lecturer.
That's right.
Yeah. And you're also the stage manager.
Yes.
So everybody has more than one role in this, which is the nature of a very small touring production, no doubt. Is that something that you're used to doing? Is that something that you're all used to doing, actually? Jumping in and...
Yeah, the way that we'd work in France, because I've worked most of my life in France, that's the way we'd work. So we'd be making the costumes, making the props, just making it all happen, helping with the get-ins and get-outs. So that's setting up the show and setting up the props before the show. So this is a forum theatre piece, so it's different from other plays that you could go and see. So you watch the whole piece from beginning to end, and then the audience have the opportunity to step in. So if you can imagine you're watching a film and you're really frustrated and you're thinking, I wish the hero was doing something different and I would do it this way. Well, this is an opportunity to say stop, and you step in and you become the hero, and you get to make different decisions and say different things, and then it influences the ultimate outcome of the play. So you get to see how the story would change.
As actors, then, you all have to kind of think on your feet and just improvise what you're being told from the audience. Is that the way it works? Yeah.
Yes, but we do a lot of preparation beforehand. So when you're building up a character, you'd do a lot of improvisations and research into their way of life. So you know that person inside out, and you know that character inside out. So you know how they think, you know how they would respond. So it's like real life, It's the same kind of preparation you do for film.
Okay.
Because there aren't any rehearsals in films, so you do a lot of preparation for your character before you arrive on set. So you know how they think, their education, their language, where they live, their daily habits.
It's a whole different world. You know, when you're walking around in that character, say, does it kind of take you over a little bit, or?
I think what you're kind of talking about is in terms of maybe some people who might go like the kind of
like Al Pacino,
what
like
we know
a method actor.
Personally, for me, so I'm playing Claire. I'm one of those actors. The minute we stop, it stops. I don't tend to bring a character home. I haven't really in any of the projects I've done, whether it's film or theatre or anything like that. I'm someone, when I'm in the moment and in it, that's where I am, and the emotion comes and builds. And the minute, Catherine or any director says, okay, that was great, let's go back, drops, you reset, and then you go back into it. That's just personally me. Everyone has their own way of working and bits that you take from all different types of acting techniques and work and exploration and imagination and your way of doing the character and the piece justice. But no, personally for me right now, I'm Helena, not Claire.
Okay. So Helena, you're played the character of Claire, who is the central character in the piece, and she's having a really tough time.
Yeah, so she goes through a lot of different struggles from various kind of particular figures in her life, from going to a doctor's office requiring something to her college lecturer who is kind of maybe berating her for not being as good a student as maybe she potentially can, because she's got a lot of ability, but if you don't have enough support, sometimes it's hard to get that fulfilled. And then, also dealing with her best friend, Emma, who she lives with, she takes quite a lot out on. So all throughout the play, everything is happening like at Claire and to Claire, and she's trying to get through it, but it's all just like one thing, two things, three things, four things, and then she kind of explodes at different times because it's all just come down and is oppressing her. That's the kind of style of theatre of the piece, is theatre of the oppressed, seeing that happen to someone, and then for the audience or the spectator, which is kind of what forum theatre is, the spectator becomes the actor, so spect-actor, and they maybe come in and see, actually maybe I would do it this way, maybe I would act like Claire in this instance of progress or resolution, or sometimes maybe not as much of a resolution as you might expect. So she's a great character to play.
Luna will get to be, I imagine in the script that the lecturer and the doctor are being quite harsh on her, and so you have to play that role, which might go against really your instinct of what you would do if it was yourself. How's that process work for you? I don't know if I'm using the right language even. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to get at. I know what I'm trying to get at.
I understand, yeah. I think when an actor's working, what you do is you first look at the script, and the language isn't your own. So you have to work out a way. If I was to speak in this way or to give those responses, what kind of person I am. So there's always clues as to the kind of subconscious drives or the motivations, and people always kind of like themselves, they like who they are. So, for example, a doctor who maybe doesn't give you a sick note right away or a medical certificate, they want to defend their own reputation. They maybe don't want to give these certificates away too easily in case there's repercussions for them down the line. Or they're maybe not so emotionally involved, their heart is elsewhere, maybe in their own home or with their family. So their compassion's a little bit dried up when people are kind of close to burnout in their work. And for the lecturer, it's a different kind of personality. So this is someone who is a very passionate teacher. She's left wing and she's fraught and kind of a bit frazzled by the system, trying to get all these students to be motivated and push their way through, and they're not always pulling their weight, and they're not always really respecting her. And then she's given a lot of opportunities to a student and it hasn't worked out. And you see that every day, if you're in higher education, you see certain teachers that start off very passionate and very motivated, and through time and through the system, certain frustrations start to take over. So they don't have the same burning passion and energy that they had at the beginning, being used up or chewed up by the system herself.
Okay. And then poor Claire has to deal with the pressure of that.
The lecturer, I think, I don't know how many people she's kind of come across by the time she gets to that, but it's kind of nearly like there's just so many things coming at her from, she loses her dad, so that's kind of like nearly the heartbeat of the piece, is that traumatic event spiraling into everything else. So when you have support, these kind of things, like if you are struggling with college, it doesn't seem as big of a deal because you can go home and complain to either your mum or your dad or whoever is your guardian or whoever you're with. But when you don't have that, that you get inside your own head, and we all know getting inside your own head and your own mind, you get in the way and you make a problem into a mountain, and it might actually be a molehill of a thing, you know. So when you get to, you know, even speak out and say your problem to someone else, it's a problem shared, you know, two minds better than one. She doesn't really have that, and she's not really maybe engaging even with the person she lives with, Emma, played by Fiona, because maybe Emma's on a totally different kind of track and not the same path to Claire, and she just maybe feels she can't share that with her, and it's just like everything is closing in. So yeah, she deals with the lecture in in the end, quite a dismissive way. Yeah. A bit rudely.
And Fiona, you as Emma, I watched a small clip of just the two of you interacting with each other, and Emma's the positive.
Yeah.
Come on, you can do it. She is empathising and she is her friend and everything, but when somebody's in a place like that they're not really listening.
Yeah. She is an incredibly positive person, and I love that about her. And she's certainly dealing with a lot coming from Claire, and I think she's probably has a lot of issues in her own life as well that she's kind of bringing with her into this like enclosed environment that she lives in with Claire. And yeah, so it's definitely hard for her, but like there is a point that you will see towards the end of the play where even Emma can't really continue to be as positive and maybe take as much from Claire as she's been previously taking, because they have a very complex relationship, I think, and there's a lot of things that are unsaid or kind of beneath the surface that are brewing there in their friendship and their relationship. So I think, yeah, she stays very positive for an incredibly long time, and I love that about her, and I'm definitely going to take it away with me, or I'm going to try to anyway. But yeah, even she cannot keep up that positivity right continuously without a little lull towards the end.
I suppose it's just the ripple effect of somebody.
There's only so much someone can take from
Exactly.
one person until you're like, see you later.
Yeah.
Human.
And all that goes along with that. And Ciara, last but not least, there. What character is yours in the?
So I'm playing the role of the neighbour.
Yeah.
So Claire and I have lived beside each other basically all of our lives.
Okay, yeah.
And the other role I play is the social welfare officer. And what's interesting, you know, you asked the question earlier on, how deep is the process? For me, it's a very deep process. Yeah. Anytime I act, allowing the energy of another character into my own psyche is a deep process. In fact, in the last rehearsal, we improvised a scene where I was pretending to be an audience member jumping into the doctor's scene, and I ended up going home in tears that night because I have lost my father suddenly. So that triggered a lot for me, just as Ciara, you know, never mind the actors. But in the scenes with Claire, the neighbour is a bit furious because there's been loud music going on, and so she's coming in and she's trying to get through to Claire. And I think we do see, you know, she does genuinely care about Claire, but she's also very concerned for her because other neighbours are talking about reporting her to the council for antisocial behaviour. So she, being a lot older than Claire, really understands that this is actually quite serious, and she's trying to get through to her, but doesn't quite work out that way, does it?
I think Ciara's character again is pushed to a limit where it's like, of course I care, but also you have to think about yourself as well in a way, and maybe potentially anyone else living in that environment in an estate or anything. Like, obviously her character has a lot of empathy because she, you know, knows Claire and knew her, but it's maybe just built up to a point again that you're like, oh gosh, really about it.
But at the same time, the neighbour has her own issues and tough parts of life that she has to work through as well. So it's there's a concern to a degree. Then, you know, like anybody in life, you know, when we're all living beside each other, we all have to have some respect for our neighbours, do we not? You know, to get along in the community. But the role of the social welfare officer is very different. And I first came in touch with Forum Theatre in London, where I actually just got to witness it, and I was actually working in a homeless charity, bringing my clients to this to witness it. And I've had to advocate for vulnerable adults with job centres and welfare officers. And so for me, playing this role, I have found, as I was telling my director Catherine one evening, that in the scene I feel very disconnected to Claire in that scene, and this was, you know, playing on my mind, and I was going, why am I feeling disconnected? And the reality is the system is disconnected. disconnected, you know. So I was actually just genuinely feeling the energy of that scene. But that also is difficult for me because as I am Ciara and I am human, but then I'm stepping into these energies of other people, and I do find that difficult, you know. So
it's funny because some scenes you can't, like, I unfortunately as Claire I treat Emma quite bad, and a few times after I've done, like, I think the second last scene we do, and it's really horrible, and I'm really not like that. Like, even if I get annoyed, she really kind of just nearly tells her in other words to F off, and every time after that I'm just, oh god, that's why personally for me I'm always like, that's not me. Claire is different to me in a way that my attitude, because I have like good supports myself personally, I'm very like get up and go, and I don't let things take me down too much, whereas Claire is very much like it's just all coming in on top, and she just sees no light at the end of the tunnel. So that's been really interesting to play. But yeah, different characters, you can't get carried away. As long as you're safe and everyone's safe, then you're fine.
But it's going to open so many conversations. Like there's so many even things just dead there now. Yes. Like 10 different topics for discussion. Right there.
I mean, I suppose it's an exploration of humanity really, and it's not what, like Luna was saying with the lecture, she's really, really wants Claire to reach her potential, and she's kind of trying everything she can along the way, but the only character that the audience can replace is Claire, because that's reflective of life. The only person we can change is ourselves. If we're faced with an obstacle, we can't change anybody else, but we can maybe look at how can I do something different here for a better outcome, and that's really what we're kind of teasing out. So it's an exploration of humanity, the humanity in all the different characters, and they are very human, and they have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, but it kind of looks at communication as well, and assertiveness, and being clear about how you feel, which I suppose is difficult for lots of us. It can be difficult to number one, to have the awareness of how am I actually feeling, and then number two, to take it a step further by being assertive in a respectful way, communicating that with anybody, any relationship in your life, not just whether it's your manager or your lecturer or your friend. Every relationship, it's that communication, and that's a life skill, and I think it's something that you're always working on, no matter what age you are. It's
Absolutely.
So is it next week you go on the road with it?
Yeah.
So I heard you mention earlier that you had 11 shows, which is a lot. Are you looking forward to it? Great crack.
Can't wait.
But just even the idea of you going in and performing this thing might even one person to go and talk to somebody. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like,
that's the power of theatre and storytelling. Like, that's why you do it. To literally tell a story, and sometimes it can evoke a reaction in the audience, and sometimes maybe not. But if you can even make one person think, actually, no, from that now I thought X, Y, and Z, or I might potentially know someone like Claire, maybe call into her and see how she's getting on. You know what I mean? That's great.
Yeah.
Jesus, if that happens.
That's brilliant.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I love drama as a medium for getting the conversation going, and I personally love to go and witness something where my mind feels it's expanding and that I feel I'm learning. And I really feel with this play, particularly with the audiences that we're targeting, that the audience is going to get that. There will be conversations going afterward, and the audience can actually, because of the use of the forum and where they can actually step in and change the outcome, it's almost like they're learning those skills there and then on the spot. It's like role playing them for these situations when they leave college, school. Very valuable.
And maybe also to give her a better understanding that, like, not all of us are going through everything is going well. Some things don't go so well for people, and people don't tell you because it's too real, what I mean? So you get a more educated understanding of people's struggles, even though someone could be looking like they have the perfect life. We all don't, and I think that's great for students, especially because they're still growing, developing, learning, and then going to college, and in college you meet for everyone under the sun, and all those different experiences. So I think it's going to be great.
So where are you taking it first?
We're going to the Excel in Tiptown, then we've some dates in Clonmel, Kilkenny and Carrick.
And the age groups now that will be coming to see it, are they sort of secondary school, or is it more?
Secondary school.
Very good for that age group.
First, second years in college, and adult education as well. So I think even though Claire's character is 20, I think a lot of older people will be able to relate to.
Absolutely.
Even the lecturer, the social welfare officer, and the neighbour, and even the friend. And I think the friendship between Emma and Claire is interesting, because Emma's character is from quite a different background. She comes from a background where there would be kind of an expectation that she can maybe follow down a certain academic route, and she's kind of a little bit deviated from that, and so they've kind of this little cocoon where two girls from different backgrounds form this friendship, and they have some really lovely moments, and there are some quite humorous parts along the way where Emma's having fun with Claire, and you can kind of get a sense of why they were brought together, you know, why they are together in this, I won't say cocoon, but the kind of the safety of this house, that there's a very real threat that Claire will lose the house and become homeless. So at 20, and that's the crisis in the country at the moment, you know, many people are just one life situation or circumstance away from that. So
it kind of gives you another image of, you know, sometimes I think we always have a typical or stereotypical view of what a homeless person looks like, but some people like maybe one or two awful decisions away from it happening, so it gives a real human face to homelessness, even especially in the last few years. A lot of people probably never thought that would happen. Economy and certain governmental aspects coming in and all of that, it just erupting from there. So I think it's a great kind of picture of maybe not what you thought.
You're also bringing it to LIT here in Clonmel, is that right?
Yeah, we'll be there for a full day on Thursday the 14th, isn't it?
14th.
Yeah, 14th.
And we have the public show that day.
At 2
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Public show from 2 to 4.
Yeah. It's free.
It's
Come along.
free,
Yeah.
oh my god.
So maybe just bring the Arts Centre.
Just bring the Arts Centre to confirm that you're going to attend,
to book
just
in,
for numbers.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
we think it'll book out. We've been getting lots of calls, and we've
Yeah.
got a really cool set. We have an original design designed by a set designer in Dublin, and it's a merry-go-round, and it looks very urban and funky. And we've got an original soundscape that's kind of gritty and hip hop.
Yeah.
So although the themes of the piece are dramatic, it is a really entertaining piece of theatre, and there are lighter bits. There's moments and conflicts and different characters kind of being thrown together.
Yeah.
So it is a fun watch, and it's fun to participate.
Very
the
good.
soundscape was Maurice Caplice, a local artist. He's done a great job, and Ali Dietrich, then she's made the set. So yeah, we've been
The
lucky.
set is really interesting because it looks like it separates. It's so self-contained, but it also becomes more than one object, does it?
It does,
Yeah, we
It
can
looks
like
lovely.
take it apart, put it back
Yeah.
together, form it. So we form all the scenes from different parts of this set, which are all, you know, blocks.
So
But the-
portable, yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's a
everything, like,
wonderful
really
set.
good.
It's
Like
really
anything
cool.
in theatre needs to be adapted.
Yeah.
And they double up as storage as well.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good job. Well, I look forward to seeing it, and all the best to all of you with it. And
Thank you.
what's this they say?
Break a leg.
Break a leg. Thank you.
What's this you're watching? Champions League. You should be called Ronaldo. A letter came yesterday morning. Hope you don't mind, but I opened it by accident.
With my name on it?
No, your dad's.
What?
I saw the council mark on it and I thought it was overdue rent.
You shouldn't have opened it.
I know, but we don't want to be out in the street this time of year.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get my name in the book.
It won't be easy with arrears.
Oh, God, it's not your problem, is it?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Claire, I'm worried.
God, that's a funny one. You're worried. Don't you worry. At least you have family to turn to.
I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you.
Don't worry about me. I don't matter. I'm a nobody. Look. Loads of forms to prove it.
Stop this talk. You're not a nobody. Stupid, yeah. A nobody? No.
Everybody's a somebody.
Yeah, they are.
Bullshit. We're not existent in this world.
Speak for yourself.
It's true.
That's why we make our own world.
Yeah?
Yeah, we sure do.
And there you heard just a short clip from Merry Go Round, and those were the voices of Helena White playing Claire, the protagonist in the play, and Fiona Kelly, who plays Emma, her uber positive best friend. Just a reminder that the public performance of Merry Go Round takes place at LIT this Thursday, the 14th of November from 2 p.m. So if you're free, do pop along to that. If you'd like to contact the podcast, the email address is southttipartspodcast@gmail.com. That's southttipartspodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to this podcast in all the usual places. And that's it for this episode. I'll speak to you all next time.